So for the last several weeks, I've been working to figure out this boss fight skip on Horizon. We didn't know if it was a glitch or what was going on, but you were able to end the boss fight early. I worked with some players where they said if you go to past 100, you're able to end it early if you have 4 players. We were able to do it, but we didn't fully understand why or how. And again, we were wondering, is this a glitch or is it intended? Like, what's actually going on here? Well, I will tell you, over the last couple of weeks, we've been working on even more, and this thing is fully solved. This is an intended mechanic of the Horizon boss fight. Basically, the boss fight has 3 phases, and it gets harder and harder as you go, and this allows you to skip those phases, and you don't have to go through the panzers or anything like that. You just instantly kill him and the boss fight's done. So I had made this video here about a week ago showing us skipping the boss fight and working on this theory, but we didn't fully understand it. We were just like, yeah, get 4 players, go past 100. It may or may not work for you, but most of the time it works for us. After I had posted this video, I got a message from someone that's really good with the coding for all of zombies, and his name is Naniko, so shout out to him. He sent me this line of code showing that if you do something specific in the boss fight, you are able to complete it early. And this step here, or this mechanic, is flagged in an actual step. If you see the line of code above it, it shows a value of 1 million. And then below that, it says flag boss completed early. Now, I will tell you, this is really new information for us, and Black Ops 3 has been around for a while. And this has happened to players in the community, but nobody really understood why it was happening until recently. And literally, this was news to me about 4 days ago when we finally figured out exactly what's going on. In addition to that information from Naniko's, I got a very valuable email from these guys right here that knew exactly what was going on. These guys are hardcore zombie speedrunners, and they developed some programs to help them speedrun the Horizon boss fight. And one of them, shout out to Ryan, had gone into the coding to see what exactly was going on with the mechanics. He also discovered that 1 million number and that flag that completed the boss fight early. So he went in and developed some programming to show how much damage they were doing to the boss. And what they understood is that that million number was the amount of damage you have to do to the Keeper boss to skip the boss fight and complete it early, like it says in the code. There are multiple ways to do this. You can go to high rounds and do it, or you can do it in low rounds. And these guys figured out a strategy to do it on round 12, which is absolutely incredible. Later in the video, I'll show you why the high rounds works. But first, I want to show you guys the strategy they worked up to do it in the early rounds. It took them like 16 hours to figure this out, just trial and error. I'll have all these guys' social media linked down in the description. Definitely go check these guys out. They're figuring stuff out that we haven't even known about for years. Here's a video that they posted about 3 weeks ago showing the world record speedrun on the Horizon boss fight, and they show them doing their strategy for the boss fight skip. When they had emailed me, I emailed back and I was like, dude, this is insane. This is absolutely amazing. Can I go do this with you guys so I can understand the strategy and what all y'all did? And they said yes. So that was really cool of them. They were a lot of fun to play with. This strategy is extremely complicated and something that a lot of us will have never have heard of, but I'll try to explain it the best way that I can and make it as simple as possible. So the goal is to do 1 million damage to the Keeper to end the boss fight, and that is extremely difficult to do in early rounds. To insta-kill the boss and skip the entire boss fight and do it in the early rounds, you do need 4 people. So the Keeper has an interesting mechanic that they had to find a workaround for. What happens is, once you deal a certain number of damage to the Keeper's chest, the Keeper will shut down its ability to take more damage. So if players keep shooting the Keeper's chest trying to increase that damage, it's not doing anything. It's doing no good, and it allows the Keeper to move on to the other phases of the boss fight. But if you can manage to do 1 million damage before that Keeper shuts down and stops taking damage, you will insta-kill him and end the boss fight right there. What they figured out is that killing time stops the Keeper from shutting down from taking damage. It keeps him open to taking damage, and you can just blast him until you reach that 1,000,000. But that is not the only issue. If you are shooting with the same weapons, it cancels that damage out. So if 2 players are shooting the same weapon at his chest, one of those players' damage is going to be canceled completely. So they came up with a strategy where all 4 players are shooting the high-powered weapons at him, but using different weapons at different times, so it doesn't cancel anyone out. And here's the loadout they use that works. So one player comes in with raindrops, that was me, and I come in with packed MR6s, and then another player comes in with killing time and also packed MR6s, but then also make sure they have one of the bows. Then the other 2 players have packed XMs, and they bring stock option, and then they each have one of the bows, but they don't want a wolf bow. Wolf bow does like 1 damage to the keeper. It's really bizarre, and the other bows do a lot of damage. So I'll briefly explain how this works, and then I'll show you guys the gameplay of it working. So after the rags are planted, everybody starts shooting a different weapon, and I immediately pop raindrops, but I don't pick anything up. I shoot out my full clip of my death and taxes and let the other player know that has the death and taxes also to then shoot out their clip. Once they're done, they let me know, then I shoot out my clip, and then I pick up the death machine and shoot it at the keeper. They pull out their bow and start firing. So me and the other player are going back and forth. We're both shooting our packed MR6s, but not at the same time. We're just coordinating to make sure we are alternating. At the same time, 2 other players that have the XMs have already popped their stock option, and one is firing a bow, the other is firing their XM until it's gone, and then they swap. Or now the player with the XM is now shooting their bow, and the person that was shooting the bow is now shooting their XM. They alternate back and forth, and we also pick up the max ammos that are from the raindrops. And the killing time is used very specifically. So I shoot out my clip, then the other player shoots out their clip, then I shoot out my clip, and then they pop the killing time, and then we start really blasting. And all of this has to be done in a little over 20 seconds. And Ryan designed a program to show how much damage they were doing with each of the weapons. And for the papped MR6s, they were doing a little over 30,000 damage. And the XMs were doing the bulk of the damage at almost 900,000. Then the death machine was doing about 200,000, and then they had the bows in there just to cover anything more that they would need to make sure they were over 1,000,000. I know this is a lot of information, but I personally find it extremely fascinating, and I love what they worked out here. I love to know the mechanics of stuff and like these numbers and how it all works out. And I know it looks crazy to see this all on screen, so I'll show you guys the gameplay. But if you guys ever go in and try this, you just do it one time, you'll get it and understand it.
When he first teleports. Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
And,
That took me a lot longer. What, Caleb?
Did you swap out the death machine last game?
No, she had it.
Oh, okay, okay.
She swapped it out after, like, when we were downing ourselves, but...
Yeah, that might have been a little late.
Where's Master Spawner at? Right
Okay.
here.
So, where the lightning shot is, you want to pop immediately,
Okay.
facing it, and then you're going to shoot, tell me when to go, and then I'll tell you when to go.
Okay.
Go. Okay, now rain.
Ryan, go.
Max. Gabe.
Me and Ryan both emptied. If we hit it, we got it, so.
Yeah.
Well, we have no way of knowing.
Yep.
Yeah, I got it.
Wow.
Hey, first try.
Wow. That was amazing. That was awesome. So right there we did it on round 12 with 4 players and skipped the entire boss fight, and we did it immediately as we tried it. They were really good with instruction. They're very organized. And here's some footage I wanted to show you where Ryan had his program running to show how much damage you're dealing to the boss. And just to show you that, yeah, we're doing 1,000,000 and that is what's needed. Right here, we're doing a 3-player strategy. I'm not going to get into all of that because there's extra steps involved, but basically I did the same thing. I did the death machine, and right at the end here, you can see that we did over 1,000,000 damage and it insta-killed him. If you do this, just know that you might be seeing this where it looks like the surface of the sun. It's extremely bright and can be difficult to see. But yeah, you can see right here it's like 1.1 million. And he will do his little spin and you can see that he is gone and the boss fight is over. Now I want to show you guys how you can do this solo. So you need to do 1,000,000 damage to the boss. Well, how do you do that solo? Well, you need to go to a pretty high round. And the bows are the trick to insta-killing him. So the bows scale with the zombies' health. So however much health the zombies have, that's how much damage the bows will deal. So if you want to do 1,000,000 damage with one of the bows, you have to go to a round where the zombie's health is 1,000,000, and that is round 83. You can use this Zombicus calculator here, and you can see it's just one player. But yeah, round 83 will pit the zombie's health over 1,000,000, and then you can go in, use the bow, and solo kill him instantly. Here I am solo on round 84. Again, you can do this on round 83, and I'm using the storm bow. You cannot use the wolf bow for this. Again, it does not do any damage. You can use the fire and the void and the storm only. And all you have to do here is plant your rags and do 1 charge shot to the chest of the keeper, and you will do over 1,000,000 damage and insta-kill the boss. I also ran this with those guys, with me doing the 1 charge shot with the storm bow, just to show his programming, calculating the amount of damage that I was actually doing. Here's that footage here, and you can see that the amount of damage that I'm doing is exactly the amount of health that the zombies has. It's 1,093,000 and some change. So yeah, that is finally fully solved pretty thoroughly, I would think. If you guys want to try this, then yeah, just go to round 83 solo, whip out a bow, do a charge shot, and you got him. But let me know if any of you guys were surprised by this or already knew about this, and we'll see you next video.